When reading any piece of literature from antiquity, one good way to find accuracy or find out if it's truthful is what we call the corroboration test. Now, we talked a little bit about the corroboration test last week, and basically, the corroboration test is a good way to validate names, places, dates, or events from which that you are reading. Now, specifically talking about the Bible and even more specifically the Gospels, there's definitely a lot of corroborating evidence that validates certain things. So again, by the way, guys, my name is Daniel Wilson. Welcome to Faith and Fit. I'm a Christian, lived with an atheist for a year, had no idea how to defend my faith, and I don't want you to be one of those Christians. Let's get into it. Now, we have 4 pieces of archaeological evidence, and by no means this is an exhaustive list, but definitely a couple of pieces that I found interesting. Number 1 being the earliest records of Christianity. So in 1945, you have 2 ossuaries that were found near Jerusalem. And an ossuary is basically a final resting place. It doesn't have to be a cemetery. It can be a cave, a chest, a tomb. One good example of this is the catacombs in France. And but anyways, in these ossuaries in this tomb were 4 crosses and a writing that is believed to be a prayer to Jesus and a prayer for resurrection. Secondly, you have the Pavement. Now, the Pavement is where Jesus was tried by the governor Pilate, and for years there was no evidence of the court anywhere except for the Bible. That is until the book of Archaeology of Palestine by William F. Albright. In this book, it shows that this court was actually the court of the Tower of Antonio, and it was left buried when the city was rebuilt in the time of Emperor Hadrian. And it was discovered here recently. Third, you have the Nazareth Decree. The Nazareth Decree is a slab of stone. It was found in Nazareth in 1878. And inscribed was a decree from Emperor Claudius from 41 to 59 AD. He would have been the emperor shortly after the life of Jesus. And the decree said no grave should be disturbed, extracted, or removed, or the punishment was death. Now, what's interesting is not necessarily the decree. What's interesting is that the punishment was death. It wasn't uncommon for decrees like this to exist, but usually the fine was similar to like a speeding ticket. So the reason they believed that the punishment was so severe is because obviously the Emperor Claudius would have been well aware of the Christian doctrine, the resurrection, the empty tomb, and so in order to quell like the riots of AD 49, in order to make sure that nothing like that happens under his watch, he would have implemented this decree and made the punishment death to dissuade anyone from trying something similar. Fourth, you actually have a crucifixion victim. So in 1968, you have another ossuary that was discovered, and in the ossuary was a Jewish man who was obviously crucified, and the date of the ossuary was the late 20s CE, and this was during the administration of Pilate, the very governor who actually tried Jesus. And in the remain in the ossuary, in the Jewish man was actually an iron spike, is about 11.5 centimeters. It's actually encrusted literally in his heel bone, and actually his legs were broken too, although it's questionable as to why or how. But anyways, like I said, not an exhaustive list, but 4 pieces of archaeological evidence that I found interesting. Again, guys, my name is Daniel. If you liked the video, give it a like, give it a comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.